Thanks for watching this portion of Garage Logic today on our YouTube channel, and hit the subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. And also thanks to our friends at Everest Men's Health for sponsoring this. Go to everestmenshealth.com today to see if they can help you with better energy and better health. And catch the Garage Logic podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Help me with this, John and Kenny. After the show yesterday, I came across this. I couldn't be more appalled and startled. Democrats are pushing for a $50,000 per year journalist tax credit.
Huh?
A journalist tax credit. Senator Ron Johnson argued the tax credit would create an improper relationship between the federal government and the nation's leading media outlets. Such relationships, according to the Wisconsin Republican, could be exploited for propaganda purposes. He's absolutely right. Not only is this proposal a grotesque waste of taxpayer money, said Johnson, it would be dangerous precedent of government collusion with the media. Biden's collusion with the press has already caused enough damage to freedom of speech and freedom of the press. Democratic lawmakers within the House Ways and Means Committee have crafted the tax credit as part of their 881-page proposal they say will ensure Mr. Biden's big spending legislation is fully funded. The tax credit would allow local news outlets to receive a quarterly tax credit equal to 50% of a journalist's wages up to a cap of $12,500 per quarter. Overall, eligible outlets could receive as much as $50,000 annually per journalist in tax breaks through the program in its first year. In subsequent years, the credit would drop to 30% of a journalist's wages per quarter. Democrats propose to let the tax credit expire after 5 years unless Congress votes to renew. The Joint Committee on Taxation estimates the credit could wind up costing taxpayers more than $1.3 billion to 2031, and Republicans rightly say that it amounts to a giveaway to the mainstream news. Freedom of the press does not contemplate government funding of it, Mr. Johnson said. This is appalling. This is horrific. This is buying the media.
Well, at this point, they already have this unholy alliance. Why not get paid for it?
Yeah, you just said what I was going to say. They're already in their pockets, so they may as well pay them.
Well, John, who gets the deduction, the newspaper
taste.
or the individual reporters?
What I read says the publishers would get up to $50,000 a year for each journalist on staff and their tax credits, capped at 50% of the wages, and they drop to 30% after the first year. And a publication to qualify must have no more than 750 employees. Wouldn't that be pretty much 99% of the newspapers in America?
I'm not sure any newspaper right now has 750 employees. Maybe the New York Times, maybe the Washington Post. I would not be surprised if that was not true. As written, any local newspaper publisher that serves the needs of a regional or local community and employs no more than 750 employees would be eligible. The criteria are broad enough to cover major newspapers with a national reach. This isn't America. What country is this?
You can't do that.
What country is this?
Can't.
So if the Biden administration were to send the Pioneer Press a check, where would they mail it to?
I don't even know.
No,
You're not here anymore.
Well, where are we?
Yeah, where are we?
one question, though. Now, these newspapers receiving this, are they going to have to change their name to Pravda?
That's a great question.
Owned by the Communist Party of the Russian Federation, the Communist Party of the American Democrats?
Listen to this BS. Local journalism is a bedrock pillar of communities across the United States, said Representative Ann Kirkpatrick, an Arizona Democrat who helped author the tax credit. Unfortunately, journalistic endeavors throughout the country face major economic struggles that put the future of many publications in serious jeopardy. Yeah, lady, and we don't need you to come in and rescue it, so you would expect us to be beholden to you. This is
They
pathetic.
already are. This is an admission of guilt as far as I'm concerned. They are now admitting that they're already in our pockets, so we're going to start paying them. What the hell?
Kirkpatrick has introduced the bill in prior years. oftentimes with the backing of Democratic leadership and outside groups like the AFL-CIO. Despite the
Of course.
support, the bill has never made significant progress because of GOP opposition. That might change this time because of the unique circumstances Democrats are undertaking to pass Biden's $3.5 trillion spending package, into which the tax credit for journalists is being folded.
It'll happen. They already bumped the ceiling up. Why not?
Democrats plan to force through the massive spending bill without support from a single Republican. They will use a special procedure known as budget reconciliation that allows some tax and spending measures to avert the 60-vote filibuster threshold and pass by a simple majority of 51 votes. But get this. If this is in the 810 pages, God knows what else is.
Yes.
This is pathetic. We are really doomed, man. This is something I can't even understand. This is amazing.
But this right here is the exact reason why I would, well, maybe not the vast majority of the American public, but a lot of people simply just right now don't trust the media.
This is the nationalization of the press
Yeah.
at the pleasure of a government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's outrageous.
I guarantee you there's not one GLer listening right now that's surprised by this.
Are
I
any of
am.
us?
I am.
You
I'm
are?
surprised it's gone
Yeah, I
this
am
far.
too.
Well, when
Me
I
too,
saw
yeah.
this morning, I was not shocked whatsoever.
You are the last two people in America then that actually trust the mainstream media.
There's
and
no, that's not
journalism.
analogous. There's a
it is.
distinction. There's a distinction between not trusting the news gathering institutions and suddenly having them all paid by the government.
Everything
At which point, of course, it's official. You don't trust them.
Everything I read today in today's Star Tribune, 100% pure propaganda. A press release from the Democrats, as far as I'm concerned. Everything I read.
Speaking of which,
Just be quiet.
Wait, you're just going to let that go?
me?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I'm going to let that go.
There's some
I
stuff in there.
I
that's
casted,
not
Chris.
know.
I casted. They didn't buy it.
I didn't know.
No, not Kenny. I'm talking
me
about
neither.
Joe. I can't believe he's moving on so quickly.
Well, I'm staying in topic
Oh, I thought you were switching
about
gears
not
over.
trusting journalism.
Okay.
Well, what more can I say, fellows, than I'm appalled.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. It's that bold that we're going to now buy the press and nationalize it?
But look at what. Go ahead, John. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and perhaps Joe and I are naive, but I think both of us probably think, well, it's never going to fly. Because I don't think this could ever fly.
You
I don't see
guys-
how.
Well, it will fly if it's in the $3.2 trillion bill that gets passed.
They'll get it taken out somehow. The Republic, I would hope anyway. Once it passes, you've already, the horse has left the barn or whatever the hell it is you always say,
The
Joe.
hay is in the wagon.
The hay's in the way.
Train left the bus depot.
The
Yeah.
stink is in the air.
What? Who says that?
Well, listen to this. Listen to this. Katie Couric.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't be more appalled at this. Katie Couric said she withdrew criticisms from the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg about kneeling during the national anthem during a 2016 interview because Ruth Bader Ginsburg apparently found that distasteful, disrespectful, and found it untoward of athletes not standing for the national anthem. That would have been an important thing for me to know about that woman. Mm-hmm. That would have I would have applauded her ideology there. She was standing up for the country. And this 2-bit television hack has the gall to edit a Supreme Court justice? This is
imagine?
unbleeping believable to me. Couric said she did it to protect Ginsburg.
Oh, thanks, Katie.
She wrote in her unreleased memoir obtained by the New York Post. And in her book, Couric explains that she felt the late justice, who was 83 at the time of the interview, was elderly and probably didn't understand the question.
Oh.
You duplicitous word, I can't say. The published story did contain criticisms from Ginsburg, which called the demonstrations dumb and disrespectful, as well as stupid and arrogant, but reportedly left out her most scathing remarks. Couric wrote in her memoir that the late justice's comments were unworthy of a crusader for equality. This 2-bit television hack was going to determine on behalf of this gifted Supreme Court justice what her behavior should have been regarding her crusade for equality. You moron! Oh, this is dreadful.
She's a journalist, Joe. She's on the payroll.
Right.
The day after the interview between Couric and Ginsburg, the head of public affairs for the Supreme Court reached out to Couric and asked her to retract the justice's critical comments. The public affairs officer reportedly said the late justice had misspoken. Why would they be so afraid to have Ruth Bader Ginsburg say that she thinks it's disrespectful to ignore the anthem? Am I supposed to now find the whole Supreme Court tainted? If one of their PR people is begging Couric to don't have her say that. What, are you kidding me? The former television host, now you're a two-bit hack, wrote in her memoir that she was conflicted and explained that she always tried to keep her personal politics out of her reporting. Well, no, you didn't.
Hold on.
We don't know
Oh,
that.
Couric said she eventually called her friend, New York Times columnist David Brooks, for advice. Brooks reportedly advised her that Ginsburg likely didn't fully comprehend the question Couric was asking her.
No.
Well, Brooks, you're off my list.
No.
You're off my list.
Are you also a tad bit surprised that we're not learning about this, or that we didn't learn about this sooner? I mean, that was 5 years ago.
David Weston, former president of ABC News, told Couric to keep the critical comments in the published story, according to DailyMail.com. She's on the Supreme Court. People should hear what she thinks, he said. Absolutely. Couric reportedly wrote in her book, that's the last page of the thing that printed out. That's galling. And that comes on top of me discovering that the Democrats want to buy the journalism industry. And that's not hyperbole. They want to own it.
Katie, evidently, according to what I'm reading, also edited a gun owner piece to make gun owners look dumb and foolish and stupid. And then she also, on the other hand, bitched and decried and yelled about a Planned Parenthood footage being edited. So she's all over the map here.
Not to be trusted. Is it
At
any
all.
wonder the
At
public?
all.
Is it any? I have told GLers for years how hard it is to digest news.
Oh, yeah.
You've really got to be careful. You've got to go the extra mile. You've got to check other sources.
I think what you should do is just start applying the Reavers theory on gauging the news.
What is that?
Just read the headline and then go with it.
I can't. I just can't
Right,
take
John?
this.
You love my...
That is what you do, Chris. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a little guilty of that.
Then you make up the rest of the story from there.
When I think how I was educated and by whom, this might as well be news I'm reading from Pluto. I can't get my arms around it. It's just...
Well, you know how you've always talked about this when Hauser joins us, and you've always said the reason you really appreciate Tom's work is you don't know his personal politics. Because
Right.
if you have the ability to tick off both sides of the aisle, you're doing your job correctly.
That's right.
And we're just losing so many of those people that used to have those types of standards.
Couric introduced her own personal politics and then lies. She's lying to me when she says she was doing it to protect Ruth Bader. Protect her from what?
From what? Yep.
Protect her from what? I would love to have known that about her. Not that I'd ever read a Katie Couric book.
You're not going to order that on Amazon?
No.
Okay.
I'm reading M.O.R. Towell's latest, The Lincoln Highway. I'm about 50 pages in, and man, I think I'm going to like it, despite the review I read about it in the Wall Street Journal, which was not favorable. I think it's going to be an entirely favorable book. I'm really enjoying what I've read so far. You guys ready for this?
Wait a second. To back Chris up, who says, just read the headlines because the headlines say it all. Today's Star Tribune, as you call it, the play piece, top of the fold. Modified weapons bring Minneapolis havoc.
Right.
It goes on to tell us all about firearms that have been modified from semi-automatic to fully automatic, and the whole piece, 99% of it is ripping and talking about how evil weapons are. Not once does it mention a gang war, gang members, bad people, anything like that. It's all about the firearm until the very, very, very end, the last paragraph, and they actually preface it by saying, in an unrelated federal case, a St. Cloud man who pledged loyalty to the anti-government group Boogaloo Boys pleaded guilty last June to illegally possessing 2 of these illegal firearms. That's the only group of people that they mentioned in this story about modified weapons. They don't mention gang members, gang affiliations, a gang war, nothing like that. It's all about how evil the firearm is.
And they don't mention that because of there being no consequences for juvenile offenders,
Yes.
they could very well end up being the 31-year-old shooters inside of a bar on Saturday night, killing an innocent Markeisha Wiley, 27 years old, who was a veterinary clinician, wounding 14 others. Those 2 fellows should not even have been in public.
And then later in the same newspaper today, they talk about a case that we either talked about this on the air or off the air yesterday. The guy who killed somebody in downtown Minneapolis took a cab over to downtown St. Paul, hopped on a bus, went to Detroit. The guy got 7 years.
And he won't
for
even serve all 7.
7 years for killing another human being. 7 years.
I have more on that story because I had to research it. Nobody got charged with the actual killing. That's why it was such a low sentence. He was only charged with being a felon in possession of a gun. So all that shooting, not one of the 3, well, if one of them died, so it would be 4 people, but none of the 3 who used the guns were charged with anything resembling assault or attempted murder or murder.
We've got a justice problem here, is what we've got. We've got a lot of problems, and that's one of the big ones.
Are activists in Norway now going to go after bows and arrows?
Yeah, that's another story. Yeah.